Well, Florida State gets another big signee in their defensive backs class, Sam McCall, who early in the recruiting process was actually committed to the University of Florida. And a lot of people thought when he committed to Florida State that it wouldn't last, that he might switch and change his mind. But that never happened. He stayed firm with the Seminoles and got close with some of the other members of this signing class. He's a player out of Lakeland, Lake Gibson High School. Odell Higgins obviously has recruited a lot of players from Polk County. He was a Polk County legend himself when he came to Florida State. So those are some of the connections here. But Sam McCall is a guy that some people think he's a corner, some people think he's a safety. When you watch him, D-Rob, as a guy who played those positions, what do you see out of Sam McCall?
I see a player that's, close to being college ready. Based on my rating system, I have him somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3.0. So that's, a college ready guy, probably not a day one starter. And maybe not even a starter going into his sophomore year, but a guy who's going to contribute essentially 4 straight years. He's college ready, and he shows incredible technique. This guy, he's been coached well. And then obviously with that size at 6'3", I see him as a big time safety. I'm not sure that I see him as a corner, but it definitely is a guy that probably is serviceable there, and maybe a nickel guy early on in his career. Maybe that's one of the things that sort of gets lost when evaluating guys based on their college or their high school film, and especially highlights, is I don't know how comfortable he is in those different spots, whether that's safety, right, being a middle safety, being a cover 2 safety, or, being down in the box as a nickel. You never know until you actually get a guy, whether he's comfortable with those positions. So that sort of, taints the assessment of him, the evaluation of him. As a corner, he's probably closer to a 2.3, which is a guy who is, probably going to have to redshirt, but then be ready to contribute in year 2. But this guy is got great technique, and he's very versatile. I love seeing him return. He's a returner, so he's doing multiple things. That tells me a lot about him. And that's what I want. Anytime I look at these guys and I look at my roster of commits, I want to be able to say, hey, that guy is an athlete. He's versatile. He can do multiple things, and do them at a very high level. And so, that's what I see when I watch him play. And I watch his press technique. He moves with his feet first and then his hands. Here he's a cover 2 corner. He reroutes the wide out and then gets back. Here he's a press corner. Again, he's playing with his feet first and then his hands. And then there he goes, high pointing the ball. Here again, you'll see great technique. This is feet first. Now here he's a trap corner or a cover 2 corner, and the same result. He does exactly what he needs to do technically, and he executes the scheme perfectly, on all these plays. You're seeing very good press technique. Here's a hitch and go. He's right in phase with the guy for the whole route. And now here he is, playing quarterback again, talking about that versatility, the ability to do multiple things. This is going to be a big time player, I think, at the safety position.
So when you're looking at a guy like this, the fact that he's got good technique, that A, shows he's been coached well, but B, I think you mentioned also, just shows he's coachable and capable of learning. Like, is that something you can quantify, and how important is that as an evaluator? I know you've been in some meetings as college coaches are evaluating players. You were evaluated as a prospect. That coachability and the ability to learn, how important is that at defensive back?
It's incredibly important. It may be more important that I see more clips of that than I see more clips of a guy doing freakishly athletic things, because I need to know that the guy's going to be dependable as a coach. I need to know that when I ask him to do something, that he's going to know what to do, when to do it, and how to carry out his assignment. And if I can trust and depend on a guy to do that day in and day out, that's a guy that's going to play more often than not. You've had very, very many situations as a coach where guy is incredibly athletic, but if you're athletic in the wrong spot, then we're in trouble. Your athleticism can't help you if you're a cover two corner and you're bailing. It doesn't matter how athletic you aren't where you were supposed to be. So yeah, seeing a guy carry out, with good technique tells me he's closer to being prepared for college football. And that's the way that we are assessing them as college coaches, is how close is this guy to helping us on game day. And when you see a guy play with good technique, okay, this guy is, can help us within a year or two.
I want to ask you one last quick question about DB play, because you mentioned it. So how much different is it being a slot corner or a nickel versus being a corner or safety? Like, it seems like colleges are now asking kids to be more versatile and to able to do those things. Is one of them more likely to be able to get on the field quicker? Is it easier to get on the field quicker as a safety or as a slot corner, as opposed to an outside corner, or does it really just depend on each guy's individual strengths?
With the direction that the game is heading, all games, all sports are really heading towards positionless. Being positionless. You just put your best guys out there and figure it out from there. And so having a slot corner and a safety that can play in the slot is invaluable. It is incredibly different than being an outside corner. It's almost like playing a completely different position, just as if, for wideouts, it's totally different when you're an outside wideout and you only see a corner playing outside leverage than it is when you go inside and you've got a linebacker and a safety over top. Right. The geometry of the game changes, your angles change, the things that you're asked to do are totally different. And so a lot of guys that are very, very good corners, outside corners, just a traditional corner, get inside and they lose all of their technique. They lose all of their ability to do the things that make them successful as corners outside. So just looking at a guy and saying, based on his size, oh, he'll be the nickel, it's a fool's errand. It doesn't compute that way. It doesn't work out that way. So yeah, you hope that a guy had a little bit of experience doing that in high school. There are guys that have no experience doing it, and then they do it, and it's totally fine. Transition's easy. They get it. They're comfortable. They can carry it out. There's other guys that they get in there, they freeze up. Their mind doesn't work as fast. Therefore, their feet don't work as fast, and they're getting run by or getting run around, or they're getting blocked, instantly. So, it takes some time to make that transition. Some guys can do it, quicker than others. And, again, that's sort of our job as the coaching staff to help ease that transition the best way we can and teach him the way that will help him make those adjustments quickly.
Awesome. Well, that's Sam McCall out of Lake Gibson's High School in Lakeland, Florida, and one more member of Florida State's 2022 signing class.